I think that this is triggering me, Hutch. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I understand what you're saying, that there are some people who seem to think that like magically
Here we
Democrats can do
go.
this, but I think that you're not taking it at the strongest. That argument, I think,
All right,
is
trying
based
to
on
scout this game for the
force
first
them
time.
to
Let's go.
make an unpopular decision. You have them by the balls because there are three options.
ADHD hyperfocus.
Option one.
Yeah, but like, why don't you just hyperfocus on XCOM? Because that's what I do. Like sometimes when the shit really kicks in, like I'm hyperfocusing on XCOM. I'm not hyperfocusing on on Twitter. That's such a crazy thing to hyperfixate on.
Continue.
He gets triggered easily by bots. Yeah, but he's fighting with bots like 80% of the time, right? Like, just saying.
The shutdown, which they're being blamed for. Fucking winner for Democrats. Option number two. Bend.
We should pause on that.
Bend on. I just wanted to get all the three options so people see it.
Okay,
one is continue the shutdown. Two is bend on the premiums and bend on the subsidies. Option number three, nuke the filibuster. Force your opponent to do one of those tough decisions.
Hutch has recently revealed his Twitter screen time, and it was pretty high. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, well, don't know. Who knows?
But we didn't do that, and so that's where the frustration I think comes from.
So for the latter two things that you said, they gave no indication whatsoever that they were even slightly.
I was easily baited. I think at some point, I was like, I was reviewing Twitter. Okay, I was like looking at Twitter, and then I think at some point I was like, you know what? This is boring. At some point I was like, yeah, I think this shit is boring. This shit is boring as fuck. And ever since then, I still look at Twitter, but Twitter is just no longer as engaging. Maybe it's the ADHD medication. I truly wonder if it's the ADHD medication. Because I'm no longer scrolling through YouTube shorts constantly and losing myself in them. I'm no longer doom scrolling constantly as well, right? Not to say that I'm productive during that time period, but I'm just saying, right?
Bending on getting rid of the filibuster or making concessions around the tax credits. So that leaves us with the first one that you said, which is just let them drag this government shutdown out for as long as possible.
And they're being blamed for it.
I understand that. But we should be specific about what that means, because it's true that the courts compelled Trump to pay.
Because like, what is the point in engaging with bots every single time? I'm not even arguing with real people. Are you doing more of something else? Yeah, I'm playing XCOM. I'm actually doing errands. Calling up the hospital all the time, noticeably. Probably playing XCOM, which is a good thing. I'd rather be playing XCOM than doom scrolling on Twitter, right? Yeah.
Out the SNAP benefits from the emergency funds.
Mine's a professional
Those
account.
emergency funds that we have is $4 billion.
Do you normally work as like a composer?
It costs $8 billion every month to fund SNAP. So those funds are going to dry up in 2 weeks or in a month if he does like half payments. And at that point, we are talking about 41 million people who are 130% under the poverty level that rely on these benefits, literally rely on these benefits to survive. And I feel like it is an insanely privileged position for, I'm not going to, assume anybody's situation, but I think, like we're all probably like, okay, I don't like, are any of us going to lose benefits because of the shutdown?
What do you mean by benefits? Like unemployment and SNAP?
Anything are you going to lose any benefits because of the government shutdown?
100. I mean, just
you need to survive.
No.
Okay. I feel like it's really easy for us to be like, Democrats should hold the.
No. I don't think you should be going this route. Otherwise, you can never make any kind of opinion on anything ever, right? So, in case you guys have not noticed, what Hutch is essentially saying here is, unless you're in the position where you're starving, or you're dependent on SNAP, or you're dependent on health benefits, or something like that, maybe you should be a little bit aware of the way that you're talking about it, and maybe you should like not be so flagrant when it comes to this. However, I don't think that is what people are doing. I don't think this is what Pisco or Soy Pill are doing. I don't think these two people are diminishing poor people in order to get a go at the Republicans, right? And also, we all acknowledge that we have to be able to make a cost benefit analysis when it comes to fighting a war, right? You have to be black to talk about black issues type of argument. Exactly. Yeah. I worked for years as a composer. Some clients even found me through Twitter interactions, but I paused making music for clients to focus on college. Okay. Do you have somewhere where I can see your work? Is it just your Twitter, or maybe I can follow your YouTube? Maybe. Do you have a YouTube?
Line and fight.
That's
when
not relevant, Hutch. Whether or not we specifically as commentators are in the class of people who's being helped is irrelevant to the actual argument. You're just making an argument that like individuals who are privileged shouldn't be talking about this.
No. It's easy for you to make the case that these benefits should end when you're not relying on them to survive. That's my point.
It's easy for you to make the case when the premiums don't affect you because I don't know what the fuck. Like it's easy.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. How much was Pisco holding that in? I think Pisco is, no. I think Pisco is actually getting angry, like legitimately angry. Like this isn't just some kind of Pisco smiling and trolling Hutch because Hutch gets triggered or something like that. I think this is like him legitimately getting angry. To be fair, okay, I just want to say I would also get angry. Okay? Like to be very fair, like I would also doing that. I was also do that. Pisco's showing out. No, he's right. Stop. I agree with Pisco. I'm on Pisco's side this time, right? Yeah.
For you to make any case, like what kind of argument is that? You're saying that like
if you don't
somehow. So if I were poor, so if I were really really poor and making this argument, what would you say? Assume that. Why are we getting into this and the specifics of you as like individuals? Why is that relevant to the argument?
That's fine, but I'd be very curious to know what everybody who relies on these benefits, how they feel about the shutdown. That's what I want to know.
This is like classic identity politics garbage.
Let me jump in because I know people that are on Snap. I know people who work for the government who are being furloughed and actually they've been asked to come back to work without pay, so they're actually working for free right now. They're not even just getting put out of work and not getting paid. And these people are on board with, hey, yeah, this is hurting me, but ultimately I want this fight to win. Now, I don't know what the consensus is. Obviously, people are going to get hurt. But I mean, yeah, it is easier to say if it doesn't hurt you directly. In the same way, like Hutch, we could, throw it back from last week and be like, well, Hutch, it's easy for you to say, I'll vote for a pro-segregationist Dem to stop a Republican because you're not black. Like, yeah, but that doesn't mean your analysis of the situation is any less valid.
Exactly. Not being a part of a specific group does not make you have zero weight or input on a specific issue, right?
It just means it's
pre-watched. Bro, it's because I covered so much of Live and Learn at this point. Like I am the Live and Learn news coverer. Okay? Steven, he's second, okay? Do you know why? Because I always watch Live and Learn before Steven watches it, okay? I always cover Live and Learn before Steven covers it, all right? I am the Live and Learn news person, okay? Every single time something happens on Live and Learn or between any one of these people, I'm the one who knows about it first. And I'm the one that releases content on it first, okay?
Easier for you, which is true, but it doesn't invalidate your opinion.
Yes.
So,
which again, I mean, all of these guys ignore me. All of these guys don't pay attention to who I am, okay? But they, whenever they're forced to contend with my existence, they kind of panic, okay? I don't know why. All right, good luck, I guess. Maybe just because of my association with Steven. But, coward behavior. But at the same time, I'll still cover you and influence the discourse, okay? So good luck. Sad thing, they're both right. Those suffering from loss of SNAP will also suffer from ACA subsidies. Exactly.
It's literally irrelevant.
If you have to pick one to suffer, I would rather pick one suffering where the control is in the Democrats to pressure the Republicans to cave, right? Does that make sense, guys? Like, I would rather make people suffer if we have to pick people to suffer, right? I would rather, what the fuck? Okay, all right, good one. Weird fan service game. I wonder if this game is playable with one hand.
Mostly irrelevant, but the question...
Honestly, Live and Learn doesn't deserve the coverage. No, I want Live and Learn to succeed because... I think there needs to be more of a space that isn't just Kyle Kalinske and all of these like retarded fucking liberals who are actually lefties. I hate these people. These people suck, right? Majority Report, the Young Turks, these people suck. There needs to be more diversity in this space. There needs to be more outreach in this space. I don't like the fact that other people have control over this space and have a monopoly on shit. It's not cool.
Is like the
What game is this anyway? It's Chaos Zero Nightmare.
ultimate question.
It's irrelevant.
Well, it's mostly irrelevant, but I think
Wait, what is the relevant?
Like I can bash all of these people, and I have bashed every one of these people except for IRI at least once. Okay, I've had arcs where I bashed the soy pill a lot of times. Most of the times I bashed the soy pill. Not this time. I bashed Pisco. I bashed Hutch. All right. I even bashed Josiah. Okay, but regardless of whether or not I bash them or not, doesn't mean that I don't want like this specific group to succeed. Right. I don't want Live and Learn to go nowhere. I don't want Live and Learn to not like thrive or whatever. Okay. I'm also investing. Okay, I'm also investing because if I cover the shit early, I establish myself as someone who is engaging with this content first, right? And then later on, when the stonks go up, I'm able to cash in. Right? Does that make sense? Because there has to be something beyond Destiny, okay? That's it. All right?
Wait,
Wait,
sorry.
well,
What is the relevance
Wait, Pisco, we're about to get into that. What the relevant part is, which is Hutch, you are correct on this, is how much are we willing to let the American people hurt to get this win? Because
It's
if we
not-
go indefinitely, if we don't say what is the consensus we're reaching to, and we don't know how long it's going to take, will we just let the Republicans lose and lose and
Bye,
lose? And lose?
Magabus.
More
See ya.
specifically,
But
people
let
that
them
are
you.
not
starve. Yeah,
more,
like
more specifically, other people. This
Yeah.
is a conversation about how are we
Maga, I'll ask you later on what content I should make into main content on this stream. I'll let you choose because I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know what main content to make into. Maybe no. I'll let you know. Okay. But I have
how
no
far are we willing to go in terms of allowing other people to suffer so that we get a political win?
is another
Because
gotcha
you're
game? Yeah,
thinking,
new
in
one.
the,
Well,
you're,
that's
you're,
what the
thi-
question.
you're thinking in the
Oh.
short term. You're thinking, and this is why you'll always lose, and why Democrats who think this way will always lose. Is if all you're thinking about is the fight tomorrow, is about what you're like, then you're never going to, in the long term, be able to resist Trump or be able to resist the authoritarianism because you're not playing the long game. You're not playing.
I'm not
that-
thinking about that. I'm thinking about the cost. I'm thinking about the actual cost of what does it look like when 41 million poor people lose benefits that they rely on to survive.
So if the Republicans
That
conditioned,
could give
if the
anyone pause.
if the
That's all I'm
Republicans
saying.
conditioned, if Republicans conditioned, this is a hypothetical, okay? If Republicans conditioned reopening the government on eliminating entirely Medicaid, would you vote for that?
Let 40 million starve, mostly elderly, start to get a political win is insane. Yeah, but that's politics. That's just how it works. It's a cost-benefit analysis because guess what? After all of this, if Republicans keep doing what they're doing, do you know what they're going to come after eventually? Food benefits. They're going to go after SNAP anyway, right? If they're willing to touch healthcare, why aren't they willing to touch SNAP, right? If they touch healthcare, they're going to touch SNAP, right? So if that's true, then why not do it now so that they can feel the repercussions of what's going on and to blame the Republicans for it so then we are able to actually force the Republicans to do something for once. Cutting the victory this early is nothing but a detriment to us, right? Yeah. If Republicans take away food stamps, who else will I watch? Yeah, you're right. They're coming after you? No, of course not. What the fuck?
Hold on. I'm a little distracted.
Oh,
by
okay.
chat.
okay.
Ask that
That's
question
what-
again.
If Republicans, hypothetically, not really, hypothetically, conditioned reopening the government on eliminating Medicaid entirely, would you vote for that?
No.
But 41 million people will fucking starve, Hutch. How dare you? How dare you do this?
You're talking about eliminating a program.
So caving now fucks them later? No. It fucks all of us now. Okay? Jesus. It fucks all of us now. Okay? Because we give up the only leverage we have against the Republicans. It's the only option. There is no other option left, right? There's nothing left. Nothing is there. right?
that millions of Americans rely on. So it's like,
we're kicking 17 million
Peter
people
to
off
pay
of
Paul
healthcare.
here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's not what we're dealing with right now, though. Those aren't the two options. We're not getting rid of Medicare.
The point is, everyone has a line. Everyone has a line that where they're going to say, yeah, I'm going to fund this government, or I'm not going to fund this government, and where I'm going to vote for something or not. You just said you had a line. And the question is,
of course.
Is this a justifiable line? And this is a line that Democrats should fall on.
But
and I thought when we went into this fight that
it fucks us now and later. Yeah, but the difference is that we're not just talking about the difference is that we lose any leverage that we have in order to force the Republicans to cave on the ACA cuts. Does that make sense? We will have no leverage after this, right? Oh, sorry. I thought you were disagreeing with me. Wait, hold on. How are you disagreeing with Hutch? Because it seems as though like you're against the government shutdown. Is that what you're saying? I'm not entirely sure.
I thought we went into this fight. We picked this issue specifically because we thought that it was worth fighting and dying on that hill. If that wasn't our position with respect to this issue, we should not have taken this fight. If we did not assess at time equals.
Yes. Pisco is right. Pisco is right. Hold on. Oh my God. Pisco crashing out. Yes, he's crashing out, but he's right. But he's right. I don't know why you're saying this as if like, oh my God, Pisco is so owned right now. It's so epic. What, is this not justifiable anger? Is this not justifiable anger? I think it's justifiable anger, right? I'm pretty fucking frustrated at Hutch. Because how is it that we took this fight and we decided to back out, even if you're not on board for this fight, you have to at least acknowledge that backing out of a war that you start is a weak move, right? And it shows the Republicans that you are willing to cave to pressure, right? How is that okay? It shows that as long as the Democrats feel a tiny iota bit of pressure, they'll cave and they'll restart the government. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't show that kind of weakness. No, it's just funny how triggered he's taking Hutch's thing so personally. What? Why would he not take it personally? Isn't it good? Okay, listen. Okay, I don't know about you. Maybe you're just a snarker or something, right? But like, maybe you're just a Pisco snarker. I totally get it, okay? But in my opinion, it's refreshing to see Pisco mad about an issue that isn't just about Israel versus Palestine. I'm so tired and sick of lefties or people adjacent to lefties like Pisco who are constantly focusing in on Pisco versus, not Pisco, fuck me, Israel versus Palestine, as if it is the single most important issue like affecting us right now. For once, he is angry, super angry about an issue, even more angry about an issue that is way more important, something that I actually care about. So yeah, of course, I think this is okay, right?
Zero, that this was the fight worth having, and this was the issue worth fighting on. Why fight on it?
I am sympathetic to that argument. The argument that, and this is Pacman's argument too. He was arguing the same thing. Like, if you're
saying it's bad,
why did you even pick the fight in the first place? The reason I brought up before, I asked you guys, like, how many of you guys were made aware of the tax credits expiring? Was it?
Yeah, and also you want to make sure that they actually suffer for a reason, right? Like what is the point of suffering all that? Like, what is the point of suffering for all of that if in the end you got nothing out of it? You got nothing solid out of it. So you made them suffer through all of this shit for no reason? 40 weeks? Wait, is it 40 weeks? No, it's not 40 weeks. Sorry. Is it 4 weeks? Yeah.
Everybody on this panel? Like, I don't know. Same question for everybody's.
All right, make that clear, because every single time someone says you in the chat, I think you're referring to me. Like, that's the way that I kind of see it, but that's not my fault.
Chat that's currently watching, how many of you guys learned about this issue because of this shutdown? There is value in that. You can make the argument that
40 days? Okay.
The shutdown was not worth increasing awareness and salience, but there is value to that.
Okay, then take the deal after a week. This deal was available, or like in the first week. Who was going to give this deal over?
I'm sympathetic
or at least
to
when
that
you
argument too.
okay, so
Yes.
like the thing is and once those premiums comes out, you can start fucking doing your media shit on it. Then take the deal in the first week. And why it almost justifies some of the Republican talking points of like they're letting this, like, if you're not willing to die for it, then it undermines your entire position staking this out as a
You're not
long-term shutdown in
dying.
the first
You're
place.
not dying for it. You're sacrificing 41 million poor people. That's not you dying. That's other people dying.
Okay, well, hold on. Is that not okay? Let's think about this for a moment, okay? If we acknowledge that there's a war going on and we draft 40 million people away as soldiers to fight in the war, you draft millions of people away. We all agree that sacrifices have to be made, right? That includes other people, right? That includes other people. Especially when most of the people on these benefits are Republicans. Is that not a fight that we should take? Because I'm not even sure if people's morality is like in the right place, right? If that makes sense. I'm not even sure if people have the correct set of morality to address this. Because I think anyone would agree that drafting for war is a necessity for conducting war, right? And if we all agree that war is good in some circumstances, and we agree that drafting has to happen in war in order to gain an advantage, then I'm sure we can all agree that, yeah, we are always going to be condemning people to die because we agree it's the correct cost-benefit analysis. Why is this so hard to understand? I don't know. Trump has overseen more days of government shutdown than all the other presidents in history combined. Trump has overseen. Yes, that's correct. And honestly, you should use that. You know what? Fuck it. Okay, because if we're going to be ending the shutdown, then I think what should happen is we should turn the messaging. Around and work from there. But as far as I'm concerned, this was not a good move, okay? Obviously, you shouldn't be criticizing too much, and I've said this again and again. You shouldn't be criticizing too much because you don't want Republicans to see that you're infighting, right? You don't want Republicans to see that you're fighting against yourself, right? Because it's a weak move. It looks weak, right? So you got to move from here. You got to look forward, right? But at the same time, I think we should fuck Fetterman, fuck all of these traitors to the United States, and yeah, just fuck all of these people, honestly. Like actual pathetic losers, okay? And yeah, I don't know. That's it. That's my view on it. But yeah. I also don't buy they will literally start. Yeah, exactly. I don't believe that either. It isn't that you cut SNAP benefits for like 3 months or 4 months and 40 million people exactly die, right? Like exactly 40 million people die. That's not happening. That's not how it works. That's not how anything works. Okay? Like, not to sound mean or anything, like they'll find other ways to get food, right? It's just that simply SNAP will go away, right? Simply SNAP will go away, but there are other ways to get food. Yeah, I don't know. Look, Trump fucked with SNAP. What do you think people think of him now? What? I don't know how that's applicable to this.
Yeah, but also,
Dude, you know what? I would rather have everyone playing Steam. Steam, Don't Starve Together, than Don't Healthcare Together. I don't know. Okay, never mind.
I just want to. So we're gonna deal with this relevance point.
It was more catchy in my head.
Okay. Hutch, is
I'm
it
pointing
relevant?
out what the dynamic?
Okay, you don't want to answer. You don't want to answer this question because keep going. So this is what Hutch is doing right now. Hutch is basically saying, instead of actually arguing the merits of should we do this or what the import of it, Pisco lives in New York City. Pisco is not poor, and so Pisco is elitist, and Pisco's entitled, and so you shouldn't listen to Pisco because Pisco's not the one fucking dying on the street. That's what you're trying to do right now, and that's why I'm taking it so aggressively.
I don't.
Wait. What is the relevance other than that to what you're saying?
There is a very real cost. We need to get away from the abstract and talk about the very real cost. And nobody's talking about that. Of all the people that are enraged on social media, I don't see anybody talking about what would have happened if this would have prolonged and then 41 million people just went from
Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders isn't internalizing the cost. So wait. Bernie Sanders is doing that. Gavin Newsom is doing that. J.B. Pritzker is doing that. Hakeem Jeffries is doing that, and Chuck Schumer are doing that. Is that right? You think they're not internalizing the cost?
Isn't this an appeal?
They don't
to
care about because they're rich, right?
Fallacy?
No,
Well,
it's
wait. You're making the argument. So I'm associating myself with all the base Democrats who are saying cowardice, bending the knee, and even Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer in their official positions.
But you're not engaging in what I just said.
They can scrunch together $10 and buy a bag of rice. Exactly, dude. There are so many things that you can do to get food in this fucking, like, how many people in this country are actually starving? Like, actually have so much difficulty getting food. You can get a bucket of chicken at KFC for $10, okay? That shit is like 5,000 calories. You'll be fine.
What am I not engaging with?
Because you're saying, oh, it's right because a bunch of people think it's right. I'm telling you, like, okay, if we have a discussion do it,
dude, no. What you're saying,
wait. So Hutch,
California paid SNAP benefits for Californians? Yeah, because California is fucking based.
You said,
that's why.
Don't get wrong. Did
Jesus Christ!
People are not talking about the cost of what will be affected if we.
I'm just gonna ignore that.
Yeah, I don't think people are talking about it enough. Like, some people are mentioning it in the abstract.
The leaders of this shutdown who voted no to end the shutdown are saying, we understand the consequences. People like Gavin Newsom and Pritzker and Schumer, especially Newsom, to my knowledge, is like, I'm going to personally alleviate those things because I think it's worth helping these people using resources that we shouldn't have to continue this fight. Right, Pisco?
Yes, essentially that this accusation of privilege, which is what Hutch is doing. Like right now, it is clear. He's saying peace.
It's applicable because SNAP being gone is a lot different average bit. So political Americans don't want fucking struggle. They're pretty close to spoil. Most people living in these. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know how to read that. Okay. 39% of SNAP is children. 20% are elderly, unable to walk. Yeah, then so be it. Yeah. That's people's loved ones. That's a good thing. Not a bad thing.
You don't understand the cost because you're not in the streets and you're not homeless. That's what Hutch is doing right now to me. And I'm saying, hang on a second, sorry, my headphones. If it's the case that the leaders of this movement are also, not on the streets, but they have the same position I do, would you make that same accusation to Gavin Newsom? Would you make that same accusation to Hakeem Jeffries? Would you make that same accusation?
It depends on what their position is. If their position is keep it going indefinitely, then yeah, I would say to every single one of those people, like, I don't know if it makes sense to fight for, what are we talking about? We're talking about like lowering healthcare for low to low middle income earners. And in that fight, we are willing to, strip benefits away from low income people.
So the dividing line between elitist, out of touch, not understanding the cost is my proposition that it be indefinite, even though you have no reason to think that Gavin Newsom or Pritzker had a different position and where they did not signal that they had an end date, because of course you wouldn't signal that if you were in a negotiation like this.
Right.
But how that makes me out of touch, but not them out of touch.
You're getting so hung up on the out of touch thing.
No. You brought it.
Even Republicans got better takes than that. Are you talking about me?
You brought it up and hang on a second. So the relevance of that point of you're not poor, you're not the one starving. Tell me what the relevance of that is. It's basically saying you're out of touch. You're not internalizing the cost of the shutdown.
Because it's easier to offer up other people to have to make a sacrifice like this. That's my point.
Wait, why is that point relevant to whether or not what we should do? That it's easier. Yeah, I grant.
He's so mad about that one comment. To be fair, I understand why he is mad. Because his ego was tickled, okay? I think Pisco really is like a really egotistical person, and I think that when he is being personally slighted or he feels like his ego has been bruised, I think he'll take it really personally and he's going to get really mad. Because I've always said that Pisco was like kind of the toxic masculinity. Like the way that he expresses toxic masculinity is by debating, right? And being very pedantic on shit. But another thing is that regardless of whether or not that's the case, at the same time, Pisco is right? Pisco is just correct. I'm sorry, okay? Like Pisco obviously has ego issues, right? He doesn't want to be Lil Broad. That's fine, okay? No one wants to be Lil Broad. At the same time, Pisco is just correct on this issue, right? Yeah, I don't know.
It's easier to offer up other people's suffering.
Okay.
That's true of everybody. But I'm sorry, what is the relevance of that point? It's not relevant.
Because it informs the larger discussion that's happening right now.
In what way? How does it make it more or less likely?
I am making the point.
Every time I open this podcast, it's literally just Pisco arguing with everyone, Lamau. Except it's not even that. I think it's more like Hutch arguing with everyone. I think it only seems like Pisco is arguing with everyone because Pisco is so loud. But I think that if you really did, like, if you pay attention a little bit more, you'll actually notice that it's actually just Hutch arguing with everyone. Because it's always Hutch that's bringing up the issues that he has. Yeah, if that makes sense.
That I think people should be talking more about the specific cost. That's what I'm saying.
You're making a point that the reason you're not talking about the government shutdown cost to me, the reason you're not doing it is because you're not on the streets. Isn't that what you're doing?
Bro, this is like 20 minutes of litigating your hurt feelings. Can we let some other
Ryan Petty
Oh my
is the
God.
most neutral
Jesus.
person. He's literally in the middle of all of us right now. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this?
I am. So I
Oh,
think
that's crazy.
it is making an important point about
I,
there is a human cost to this. I mean, people will hurt
That's
the longer
crazy.
this goes on. At the same time, that's politics. To an extent, that's politics. People and I want to be really careful about where we're putting the agency here, because to the extent that people are hurt by the shutdown, the Republicans could end it tomorrow. Their ideological commitment to the filibuster is not does not absolve them of responsibility for the fact that they control the government.
Jesus
in
Christ.
my opinion, I think that that's the case. So, is there a point at which Democrats should say, like, no, your inability to run the government is hurting too much. We have to, reopen the government. Probably so. I don't know what that point is. The official position of the Democratic Party should be that will continue indefinitely.
And
Even
let me add to that.
that should be the public position. Otherwise, the Republicans will just hold
I'm really important. Just turn into the power off screen.
starving people as a hostage every time.
Right. That's kind of my take on this, Hutch, is like, yes, I understand this. There's a human cost to this, but like with the agency of who are the people fighting not to pay SNAP? It's not Democrats because they're continuing the shutdown. It's the guy going to the Supreme Court and saying, make me not have to pay SNAP.
I understand
right?
that.
And I know you're not, I'm preaching the choir here, but my point is, this almost feels like the inverse of the Democrat blame.
Yeah, like, it's so easy to predict Hutch's positions, right? Like, after a while, it just feels kind of like intuitive, right? Because whenever there's a position where it's all about being that looks good, like if it looks optically good from a kindergartner's perspective and it doesn't cause any harm to poor people in the short term, but not considering the long-term downstream effects of anything, it seems as though Hutch will 100% of the time take that position, right? Does that make sense? Like, am I making any sense here? As long as it immediately looks optically good to some people, and it looks as though immediately that there are short-term benefits towards poor people in that very moment or something, then he'll always take that. But he doesn't really think about the long-term ramifications of shit. I don't know. It's just the really cringe, whatever.
Same graph where it's like, why are we saying that, well, this is a human cost that the Democrats are
Yeah, the least
imposing and not,
risky
hey,
POV. Yes, Hutch always takes the least... No, you're right. Okay, never mind. Stumbling puts it even better. Hutch always takes the least risky point of view. That's right. He never takes risks. He never tries to fight. He is complacency and he is cautiousness. He is complacency and he's cautiousness, right? There is a time and a place for complacency and cautiousness. There is a time and place for that. There's nothing wrong with being complacent at times and being cautious at times, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? But now is not the time to be complacent and now is not the time to be cautious. All right? Now is not the time.
We can continue to blame this on Republicans, and they should have this held at their feet.
That's not my position.
Well,
just to be clear.
Well, sure, okay.
I put the blame mostly on the Trump administration, but to the extent that Democrats have the power to make sure that 41 million people don't lose these benefits. And it's not just SNAP, by the way. There's also WIC for like single moms. There's also we give out assistance to millions of people to pay their rent each month. We give out assistance to people to pay their energy bills each month. You also have like federal workers that are furloughed. I mean, this is so much bigger than just SNAP. You know, like if
so why would you vote no, Hutch? That's pretty privileged of you to vote. Wait, so I understand that you're not taking. Wait. I understand. Wait, I understand that you're not taking the position that you would do indefinitely.
I'm really sorry.
Wait a second. So I understand you're not taking. Wait. I just want to make that point. So I understand you're not taking. I understand that you're saying that.
Sorry, Pisco.
Wait, I want to finish the point.
Did you hear him say he's sorry? Yes or no?
I did hear it. Yes, I did hear it.
Take it back. I'm sorry.
Isn't it the case that if you were to vote no now, that's a privileged position, because even if it were for 2 or 3 weeks, you're not the one actually suffering, not having those benefits, right?
Well, you lost me. I don't understand the question.
Isn't that privileged? You're not actually internalizing the cost, since you said, right?
I'm a hypocrite. I'm sorry.
Good point.
Can I, Pisco, I want to call you out on something. You said something very dangerous, in my opinion. You said these guys were handpicked to be the guys who vote no. So you're implying that Chuck Schumer.
It's stuff like this that makes me think that I don't think anyone has grew past high school, right? If that makes sense. Like it just oftentimes feels as though people just haven't aged past high school. It feels like people are just still living in like a very I don't know.
Is not sincere. Hakeem Jeffries isn't sincere. That
Tim
the
Kaine
entire Democratic Party. You're saying the entire Democratic Party is in on this no vote.
No.
So then what are you talking about when you say they were
I'll tell you exactly.
What does that mean?
I'll tell you exactly what I mean. Tim Kaine said that there were more senators. Ryan Getty just agreed that there's definitely more senators among the caucus who didn't vote this way, even though they agreed with that position. And Tim Kaine confirmed that there were people behind the scenes saying, we're glad that what you're doing. And so therefore, given the fact that there are significantly more, at least, and Tim Kaine was suggesting more senators who agreed with this position, and only the exact amount of people. What do you mean they're bullshitting? You think Tim Kaine's lying? Then
He could have been bullshitting.
Is Tim Kaine? Do you think Tim Kaine is lying?
I have no idea. I have no idea what he's saying. There could have been people behind the scenes that were almost there, that weren't there. But they were still no's.
Okay, I'm assuming Tim Kaine is telling the truth.
That like only 2 of the 8 are up for election. Like next year, I frankly think that there were definitely more. I think they put up these ones that are all like half of them are retiring, and then like 2 more aren't going to be up.
And Pisco's chat is crazy. God, Pisco sucks now. It's crazy.
For election for another 6.
They said Pisco's face is purple.
Years.
Oh jeez.
And I think
like Pisco's alleging like a clandestine Democrat like scheme.
Wait, does anybody know how old Pisco is? Does anybody know?
Right. It's more just like
I think
obviously
that there are genuine senators and genuine reps who.
It's like a textbook example of a rotating villain. I think that's obviously what's happening. I think the situation is that there's a ton of political pressure on the Democrats right now to prolong this fight from their base, who want them to continue fighting. And I think a lot of senators recognize the perils of that kind of situation, and they were happy to let people that are not in any real danger of an immediate primary fall in the.
I just like Picard in the TNG episode where Q gave Picard a chance to go back in time and stop his younger self from fighting, but in doing so became a wimpy hollow shell. So, who played it safe, never took any risks, and never made it past junior lieutenant. I think you're right. I think you're actually right. Yeah, holy cow! I think you're right. I think Pisco. I think Hutch would be like Picard in that moment, right? I think Hutch is the kind of person who would go back in time, take Q's, take Q's ability to go back in time, fix things, and never take any risks, which would just fuck everyone over.
I think that's obviously what's happening here.
Fuck himself over most of all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think the language is a little dangerous though, because it implies that there's some sort of like scheme going on. Like, well, I think they were just kind of maybe relieved then that these guys chose to vote yes, so they didn't have to. Because I think that happens a lot where people are like, well, I'm going to wait and see who votes one way or another, and then I'll decide how to vote. Maybe they would have been the deciding votes if these guys hadn't stepped forward, but these guys chose to, and I think that's the end of it. But you're implying that they're like, okay, I'm going to vote yes because I'm not up for re-election until 2030, so I can stomach.
Pisco's 22? No way. I would guess like 29. Dude, I don't. I guess
I
that's
can
whatever,
show-
it doesn't matter.
I mean, that's true of Hutch then, because Hutch just described to you that that's genuinely what he think happened. That people,
Well, I
I don't think
disagree
it's
with
true of
Hutch
everyone. I
too.
think,
Hutch, what are you
think
doing, man?
Angus,
What the hell?
I
Angus
think,
King
I,
and-
think, I think that's obviously what's happening here. I mean, like
Come on.
Oh
Exactly.
man.
Traded. We're never going to know exactly what was traded, but it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world if it was like, vote, take the hit on this one, and we'll make sure you have extra input on this next thing coming up. I mean, that's just how sometimes things work in Congress.
6-7.
It's unfortunate,
Wow.
but it's reality. I think.
And there's a
It
lot
could
of
be.
non-overlap in the Democrats who voted in favor of the CR in March. I noticed that Brian Schatz is not there. Kirsten Gillibrand isn't there. I even think some of the I think Ossoff voted no both. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Voted no. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like I notice that there's a lot of if you were to pick the most like optimal senators to vote this way, it would be these people. It would be these people. And I'm saying that a whole Senate is in on some
Why not?
grand
Warnock,
conspiracy.
he's not up. Warnock's not up for re-election. He could have voted. I mean, I could make the case for a bunch of these guys could
I
have been
doubt
one of those votes.
Grand conspiracy orchestrated like by puppet master Chuck Schumer, but I'm certain that there were some overlapping, deals that were struck. You're going to vote for this, and we're going to make sure that the DNC is not, maybe we're going to throw a little bit more money to some super PACs, in your reelection campaign. I don't know.
Well,
I just don't think that it's. I don't know. I am almost certain that it was predetermined who was going to be the no.
Angus King said these guys weren't going to budge, and there was no moving them. The Republicans, there was no moving them any further. Nothing else would have helped. It was just going to make people suffer more. So what do you say?
So why don't you agree with it? Wait.
it?
So why don't you agree with him, Ira? You said you
I'm
don't
just
agree.
saying that's his reason, and I believe him. If he believes that, then I disagree, but I don't have all the facts in front of me. I don't know. I'm not a senator from Maine and listening to my constituents. I have no clue.
So-
but from my point of view, I think they could have kept fighting. I'm just saying, how do you respond to his argument? Do you think he just gave in, or he's
Well, I think Angus King is
2-month break. I'm betting on another shutdown in January. Then let there be another shutdown in January. What the fuck? But we should have kept it shut down the entire time, right? Does that make sense? Because, okay, if we shut down in January, that's fine. I support that. But now it's even riskier because we shut down in the first place, because we stopped the shutdown in the first place. Okay, so it's because of the Democrats that we stopped the shutdown in the first place. Okay, so if we shut down again in January, who do you think everyone will be looking to reopen the government? Now the blame is no longer shifted on the Republicans, is it? Now the blame is being shifted onto the Democrats, because now that everyone knows that the Democrats have the ability to end the shutdown, everyone will be more expectant to expect the Democrats to end the shutdown. The blame will be shifted on the Democrats. However, it is a fight that you have to fight, right? So let's be very clear here. The Republicans have won. Okay? We're fucked. This is over.
First of all, he was against this in the first place. So
That's basically what I'm
Angus
saying.
King
Okay, good luck.
voted
Every time he
no.
voted no, yeah.
Consistent. So when Angus King's like, "Wow, look at this amazing vote we got in the Republican-controlled Senate," like Angus King doesn't give a shit about this vote. He voted in favor of opening the government on the Republican package in the first vote. And so one is, I think, he's even like laughing when he says, "I think it's a 50-50 that this eventually passes the Democrat written bill."
Well, I'll give it a 6-7.
And he chuckles through it because he can't actually it's so preposterous, that notion. So first of all, Angus King's his own determinations, I think, are questionable. But
People will want to know why I shut down a second time. Yeah, but now people will absolutely know that but then people will absolutely know now the Democrats can end the shutdown.
But on the issue of
Right?
whether the
Does
Republicans
that
would
make
have
sense?
ultimately
Yeah, I
bend
don't
it,
know.
I'm not sure they would have.
That's the
But
way
that's
I
why
look
you
at
pick
things,
an
but
issue that's
whatever.
so important and so critical at the start that
That's
you
whatever.
are willing to have that be your bottom line. Don't pick a bottom line if you're not willing to stick to it. And I'll even grant you this. If it were the case that this were the optimal time to drop it, and this were the optimal time to sign on to this signaling vote that means nothing, then why isn't the Dolan
You're missing out big time, Queen. On what? Why am I being pinged in DG? Very something.
Dearly, even though, you know, he's had multiple girlfriends after. No, dude. Like, what?
Out of this policy.
Your main op is getting canceled?
Darius isn't joining. He's not joining.
What am I supposed to say?
Oh, Sushi's here.
I don't know what she's talking about that choking thing, though. I don't know what that means.
Wait, why is he getting
Darius is
canceled?
a coward.
I never use the word.
Okay, I don't know.
Policy. Better PR strategize. Why isn't the case that we have more uniformity? Why are we in a situation where you have the leading candidates for Maine Senate, right? Like Plattner and Mills both saying it is a fucking cave. Newsom, cave, cowardly, he says. Pritzker, cowardly, cave. Why is it the case that our leading candidates are all saying the most, like the worst possible things on it? That doesn't.
No, dude, listen. You can just literally go and fucking watch Darius. Okay, go. Okay, if you like Darius so much, go and watch Darius. Holy shit. Bro, dude, this stuff is so boring. Like, I'm sorry. Like, how do you stand Darius content? It's literally boring shit. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of content like this out on TV. You realize that, right? Anything that involves like couples, like any one of these like reality TV shows where they're just fighting each other. There's plenty of that slop out there.
Seem like a good strategy, even if this were the optimal time to drop the fight. And if it's the case, sorry, one last thing. If it's the case that, like as Hutch said, that it's this fear of the base, and I think that some of that is true.
W
This
content?
fear of their own voters.
Listen, if you think it's W content, that's fine. Okay, just don't watch me.
What does that tell us?
Don't again. I hate it when people tell me on what to watch. It's fucking infuriating.
About the disconnect between the leadership and the voter. That just confirms it, and it confirms that they don't feel they can be honest to their voter.
I mean, that's
wait, real quick. Let me just add one thing, and that's what is the signal to the Republicans? It's, hey, if you give indications that you won't budge, no matter how much you're hurting, the snap.
Yeah, Darius's biggest enemy is Darius. That's correct, right? But whenever Darius does something wrong and he fucks up, that's just Darius being Darius, right? I can never prevent Darius from not being Darius. So let him reap his own fucking rewards.
Recipients, whatever, then Democrats will just eventually fold. There's no point in ever standing to any fight, because all you have to do is just say no over and over, no matter how much it hurts your credibility, no matter how much it hurts your polling, no matter how much it makes Donald Trump say he's going to get rid of the filibuster. Doesn't matter. Eventually Democrats are going to fold. You can make people hurt for as long as you want. Like, what is that signal? It's like, okay, well, we just negotiated with the terrorist or whatever allegory you want to use. Like, why ever fight ever against the Republicans ever if they're never going to budge? They just will say no, and eventually enough senators will be like, well, they said they weren't going to do anything, so we just decided to vote no.
And it's not your fault, Hutch and Ira. I know you guys are looking at silver linings. I know, and I think that there is a lot of benefit to what's going on.
Okay. Is Pisco Pisco is trying to make a bridge here. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try to like rethink about everything. Okay, I'm gonna try to like put everything in my mind together. Okay, I'm trying to not go crazy here. Okay. Pisco's trying to build a bridge. Okay, all right.
It is so frustrating as someone who was so like ecstatic and happy about every side of the Democratic Party doing well on Tuesday, to have this sort of put out in the middle of the night on the weekend, and to have this like just with no coordination and seemingly, even if it isn't strategized at some level of leadership where you have the whip, right? The Democratic whip is one of the leaders, Dick Durbin from Illinois. It feels that way. And they must have known this would have. So that's where the frustration is coming from. And so I'm not trying to make it personal, but
I understand. I'll just say, when I saw that the deal was made, I thought we just won the midterms, because there'll be no subsidies and people are going to get fucked and they're going to be pissed. And we just won the midterms. That's how I see it.
Anyway, right?
I think we came out better for having done this. I just wish we held out a little longer.
That's literally my exact position, by the way.
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah. So to piggyback off of what IRI is saying right now, like, we're framing this I think we're only thinking about like the short term, the PR hit, like the appearance of like fecklessness or weakness. Like, okay, that's fine. I guess that's a W for Donald Trump for the next news cycle, like a week, 2 weeks. How long are people going to be talking about this? But what's the reality of the situation? They just got creamed by margins that we haven't seen since fucking 2008 in terms of the over performance. Like the numbers that came out of last Tuesday are you have to go back like almost 2 decades to get that kind of over performance. And the reality is that these cuts are going to happen. And to Ryan's point, I think they were always going to happen. I think I even expressed on this podcast a couple times, I don't know how realistic it is to expect that we're going to get these full tax credits back. Like, I just don't know if the Republicans are going to play ball. Maybe I thought maybe we might get like maybe half of the subsidy. I don't really know, like a quarter, just something. But this always this feels like this, we were always headed to this outcome at some point or another. And the reality is these premium spikes are going to impact tens of millions of people in January. And the Republicans right now are in charge of government. And anybody who thinks that Donald Trump is going to be able to fool the public about who's to blame for these subsidies going up.
What, dude? Stop. I hate that Hutch is doing this. Why? He's calling everybody else naive, but he's the one willing to believe that Trump still doesn't have the ability to fool the public anymore. He has fooled the public up until this point. Why is he still in the position of power? Why is he still in the position of power if he is unable to fool the public? Why is he still in the position? Why did he win after January 6th? Right? There's a fundamental reality disconnect here that I feel as though is not being addressed. Whatever. It's okay. All right, it's fine.
That is one of the most online takes I've ever heard in my life. This is something that is just a truism, just across the board when it comes.
No, stop. If that's an online take, then the online take is the correct take. Okay?
To politics. Anytime there's economic hardship, like a massive event where a lot of people experience economic hardship, they always blame the party in power.
But Hutch, he's going to give us the $2,000 tariff checks. He's the money president now. Do you don't think that's going to sway anyone?
Ironically, that is one of the most dangerous recent developments in American politics. I mean, this is one of the classic democracy failure states. People smear like welfare as like, oh, people are
It's
just
a handout. Yeah.
It's gonna spiral into infinity. But this is of a fundamentally different kind than what we do with normal welfare or direct benefits to people. Arbitrarily looting the American people through tariffs imposed directly by the president, and then using that money to send checks to buy loyalty. I mean, this is actually a remarkably bad development for American democracy.
I was going to say, you got to say the line, Ryan, which is, this is incredibly dangerous to democracy.
Okay, listen. I can't believe we are so fucked. I can't believe it. January 6th didn't affect people's paychecks and benefits? Yes, exactly. But also, another thing is that I can't believe Hutch is so naive. Like, I actually cannot believe Hutch is so naive. I can't believe it. There's just no way. There's no... Lolly? Sorry, kidding. But, like, I can't believe Hutch is so naive. You're really telling me that you can't imagine an environment where Trump turns the messaging around because he gives everyone a $2,000 check? Because I can totally see that. And he would win on that messaging. I truly believe that Trump would win the messaging on giving out $2,000 checks to everyone. I do think so. You're not going to win.
The Sinclair Newsline. No one's talking about the real silver lining of ending the shutdown, which is we get to do Epstein discourse again when the House.
That's true. You could have sold me on that, though.
Like,
are we going to approve that last House member? We're going to get the Epstein vote.
I think if
Yeah,
they
she's
do
going to
the
get
House
sworn
back,
in.
They have to. That's why they've been holding the House out of session, which is in itself an incredibly
5-star?
unprecedented.
5-star.
The idea that in
5-star.
theory, the
Oh
second
shit,
or
it's a
third
guy.
most
Never mind.
powerful
I don't
person
want guys.
in the United States government, the Speaker of the House, just chooses to not call his own branch together to meet, to have power is crazy. I mean, that is crazy. And I wish that registered as bad to more people. I understand why it doesn't, since, we're not all so institutional pilled, but it is really bad.
it's a great point. Like the notion of this Madisonian.
I listen, I'm curious to what Hutch responds to this, because Hutch truly believes that that he is that the American people will know exactly who is fucking them over. No, a $2,000 paycheck, a $2,000 paycheck, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of fucking money for one person, for every person, right? That's a lot of money. People will be easily swayed by that. I'm sorry. Votes can actually be bought, right? Votes can unironically be bought. And it sucks. It sucks that we live in a situation where that's possible. But we have to acknowledge that reality, Lolly. I win. Anyway, yeah.
Check power within the federal government has completely collapsed, and except in some of these key areas, like I think probably tariffs. Even though on tariffs the Republican Congress isn't willing to like do a negative vote on it, but they're not going to actively
those are the
promote
pity
it.
roll.
And similar thing I think on the filibuster. But other than those like key few areas, it doesn't seem like there's or the walls that existed between the executive branch and the legislative branch are crumbling, and it's partisan that's sort of winning the day, as opposed to these delineated branches of government.
Well,
It's
and Pisco,
early
I mentioned that.
Charles the First. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute
we mentioned this
cinema.
when I talked to Newsom, I
Absolute
said, isn't
cinema.
the real issue of the shutdown? Shouldn't it be, hey, we can't approve any spending bill until you promise us that Trump is actually going to spend it the way the
easy
Congress
peasy.
has allocated it?
Yeah, no, dude, okay, she's not a lolly. She's obviously not a lolly, right? Like, are people so brain broken on anime to think that Renoa is a lolly? Okay.
And he said, yeah, that is the main issue, but that's not resonant with voters. It's not as politically salient. So we
She's
have
so
to do
obviously
it about healthcare,
not
which is still important.
whatever.
But the main issue is, well, does Congress even fucking matter anymore? And like the caving here, kind of makes me feel like I really do wish we would fight on that. But I understand you can't message that to the American people, and it's very important that, like, yeah, we don't know if we really have three branches of government anymore, and it's kind of eroding. But go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
Oh no, Hutch, you were trying to get in.
No, I mean, I wanted to piggyback off of I want to go back to what I was saying before, which is that I disagree with the vote last night. And one of the reasons why, like we already discussed, was like, I do think this should have been stretched out a little bit longer. I think my red line is just when people stop losing that critical.
You ready for my you ready for my take? I wonder how many Democrats' votes could be bought to vote Trump. As long as we give them $2,000. Because I wonder how many votes we can buy for $2,000. $2,000 every person. Would you really be so willing to turn down $2,000 to vote for Trump a single time? I'm not even sure if, God, that is the real black pill. I think that's the real black pill. That's unironically the real black pill. Because we're living in a reality where Trump is giving people nothing. But $2,000 is not nothing. $2,000 is something, right?
Those benefits. That's just,
I think we're cooked.
I don't think like that is like the obvious morally correct decision either. Like it might be correct to stretch that out because there could be some bigger gain down the line. And if somebody wanted to make that argument, I could be persuaded.
What the fuck?
It's just, that's just like where I go with
41
that.
million people off Snap was the only way to beat Trump.
Fuck, bro. Fuck.
Should be easy, man.
As always,
what do you mean? That's an easy yes, right?
As always, the calculation is like what's going to do more harm, and so like I'd have to like really think about that. But Yeah, I mean, these
Wait, what?
to stretch that out because there could be some bigger gain down the line. And if somebody wanted to make that argument, I could be persuaded. It's just that's
Hutch, what
just like
if
where I
taking
go with
41
that.
million people off Snap was the only way to beat Trump.
Fuck, bro. Fuck.
Well, I mean, did he say killing 40 million people, or did he say starving 40 million people? I think there's a big difference between the two, right?
Correct to stretch that out because there could be some bigger gain down the line. And if somebody wanted to make that argument, I could be persuaded. It's just that's
Hutch,
just like where I go with
41
that.
million people off Snap was the only way to beat Trump.
Fuck, bro. Fuck.
Oh no, he's not. He didn't say kill,
Should
right?
be easy, man.
As
Wait,
always,
what do you mean? That's an easy yes.
And Trump gave out that much during pandemic. It didn't help. Wait, was it Trump that gave out the $1,200 checks? What was it? Was it Trump that did that? I forgot.
as always, the calculation is
remember.
like what's going to do more harm, and so like I'd have to like really think about that. But you know, yeah, I mean these are
What, you
these
would
are
take
these are
fascism over mass starvation?
Yeah, well,
these are
Both
these are
presidents?
tough.
Oh, okay.
seriously, Hutch. I don't
These-
know. I'd sacrifice 41 million. I'd sacrifice 50 million Snap recipients.
These are
I'd
tough.
kidnap
These
1,000
are-
children to
listen,
stop fascists.
the point is like these are not straightforward calculations. This is not a science, and so I think like
Wait, but it is a science, though, right? Why are we deluding ourselves into thinking that it's not a science? I think this is easily a science. This is easily a scientific problem, right?
to kind of get back to like where I think the Democrats went wrong on this. It is insane to me that
He said if throwing people off Snap was the only way to beat Trump. Oh yeah, easily. What the fuck? Dude, if it means canceling the entire Snap program to have a guaranteed win over Trump, yeah, I would. Why are we even debating this? This isn't debatable. Yeah.
it's like okay, fine. If there was backroom deals and you pick these senators to be the ones to
This
fall on the
isn't
sword, like
debatable.
I'm not morally
This
offended
is so
by
silly.
that. That just seems like kind of standard politics to me or whatever. I mean, but the ones that they did pick did just about the worst job you could possibly imagine in terms of making that case. Like that Angus King line. I don't even think what he said was
It wasn't
technically
working. It wasn't working.
I don't even think what he said was technically wrong, but it was so politically stupid to have him be that person to go out there and do that. I think that does signal weakness. There was another person, there were like two other people that did a press conference today. And I just think that there should have been a more coherent plan in terms of how to navigate the messaging. Or I think maybe you could have even been straightforward about like, look, we really want to raise the awareness of this issue. It's really difficult to imagine Donald Trump, giving concessions here, but we want to inform as many people as possible. Like maybe you could have even been straightforward about that to begin with. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Better political minds, but
there's no guarantee this is going to pass in the House. By
It would have to be done, but it would suck so bad to do that. Yeah, sure. But I think people will understand down the line.
the way, they like
I think
they
I think people will get over it.
could run into some troubles over there.
I don't
Real
think
quick,
so. But so
someone
Schumer
chatted
should
this.
step down,
Wait,
then, right?
They can only lose
wait,
two
Pisco,
votes on
before we
Republican.
light a new fire. Before we light the fire, Chatter was talking about, and maybe you guys know more about this, that Mike Johnson was considering not even taking the vote. Did you see something about that? Because I
on
had
the ACA.
On the ACA stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because and everyone knows it. That's why this like it's a nothing. It's saying we're getting nothing. It's not a deal at all. It's
Well,
just
hold on. I let's
Kayron.
not count out the ACA subsidy
that's
extension
fucking
here. So the
Kayron.
Democrats have been given a guarantee of a vote by the second week of December.
Aaron is from
That
Epic 7.
might get some momentum going. There are
Whoa.
Republicans that want to see these ACA subsidies extended, and I don't think it's an impossible thing for that to pass. And then the Republicans in the Senate have so much pressure, or Republicans in the House feel pressured to do something. I mean, Mike Johnson said we got to do something about these ACA subsidies, but we got to negotiate after the government's open. So, I mean, people are just acting like it's dead. I wouldn't be so sure.
I think that's delusional. I don't know.
I think it's delusional. Yeah.
Delusional.
I mean,
Well,
you're talking about people on policy grounds who cut Medicaid by like $800 billion to pay for their tax cuts. These are people who ran
So-
on destroying the ACA, and
Okay,
now
but then
out of the
why-
head of Zeus, they're gonna fucking fund it
Why-
more. I don't think so.
Why did Mike Johnson and Trump say, yeah, we got to do something about that then?
Because
They're
they're liars.
they're
But
liars.
There's a couple senators who will vote for it. There's a couple Republican senators who will vote for it, but it will not be enough.
Yeah, and if they were serious about voting for it at all, why wouldn't they say, okay, cool, let's vote for an extension right now and end the shutdown,
let's
right?
see. Like I said, a big chunk of people who took advantage of those subsidies in the last few years are in red states and are conservatives. I mean,
Who the fuck's audience? Whose is that? That chatter right there. What the fuck?
Which chatter? I don't know.
Yeah, you're
Who
gonna have to be a
the-
little more specific.
It
Hutch.
might be my
Can
free
I get one
speech
guy
chat.
again?
Is it cosmic something? Who the fuck? Yeah, Cosmic Milarepa. I've never been so triggered in my
let's
entire
see.
life.
Cosmic.
Wait,
I don't-
where is it?
I don't
Right
see
up
him. I don't see him.
Keep going down.
Get
keep
him
going
up
down.
there.
Oh wait, he's in mine. He's in mine. Leave him alone.
God,
No,
Dude, it's actually kind of crazy how divided the chats are. Just mainly because Hutch's chat is so anti-Pisco. It is crazy. Okay, I've seen it. I have seen it. All right. And Pisco's chat is so anti-Hutch. It's crazy. Like, you would think that the content creators that they're a chat of are like straight up the worst enemies in the world, right? But they're not. They're supposed to be a part of the coalition, right? So it's just kind of funny to me how divided everyone is. Crazy. At the same time, they're forced to get along.
we work here for
Pisco's chat was anti-Pisco during the argument. Well, then fuck Pisco's chat. Maybe they're being brigaded. Who knows? They have less viewers anyway.
killed Obamacare last night. There's a lot of fucking. I feel like
Wait, hold on, Radiant. Are you pro lockdown or are you anti lockdown? Sorry, not lockdown. Are you pro shutdown or are you anti shutdown?
I genuinely feel like majority of people that are screaming about this online don't actually know what happened last night. That's my sense of things, because that's not what that is. Not what
I think
happened.
that is like, so you want to talk about out of touch. I don't think that that's like, of the people who are commenting on it, you don't think that they know enough to be critical on what's going on?
I've just seen a lot of takes, like, I saw so many takes of people saying Democrats voted to take away your health care last night, and that's not what happened.
wow.
That's not what happened.
Okay. I think it is really important that
Wait, that's not what happened. But what do the people think? What do people believe? Right? The real question is, what do people believe? You say that, oh yeah, that's not what it is. It sounds like you're losing control of the narrative, right? I feel like this happens a lot whenever Destiny has a chill conversation with somebody and their chat hates him. To be fair, I have been in the chat position before where my thoughts on like a conversation partner is essentially just, oh my god, this person is the worst person ever. Fuck this person. I hate that this person even exists or anything like that. But then in a position where I'm actually like talking with them, like that, it's just a completely different vibe. It's not even close, right? But in the chat, it's so easy to be unhinged. It's so easy to be unhinged. But when you're actually like talking to someone, it's a completely different vibe.
we don't lose the impetus of
Yeah, I
whose
don't know.
fault this all is. Yeah, I mean, it is the Republicans fundamentally who are in charge of all three branches of government. And if it's their fault, and this is why I don't feel so bad about saying like, we should have, kept it going for as long as I think my line to reopen the government, I think it would have been a guaranteed vote in both houses. I don't think that was unreachable. I think that was reachable. And I think that the fact that we couldn't get to that was a disappointment.
Especially because you do have more runway here. Even if you accept that SNAP funding would have run out in 2 months
When I was on stream, there was like 3 people schizo posting about me. Why don't you just /ignore them?
or something, there's more runway. And so at least on the SNAP stuff, so if that's your,
Oh
your
my
bottom line is
god.
when contingency funds run out for SNAP, then
Skip the
I think we
story.
get more runway here. But more to the point, given the colossal failure
Jesus.
of Schumer to keep his caucus in line for his position, he should resign, shouldn't he?
But here's the thing, Pisco, it doesn't like the snap cards don't get loaded the day after the government opens. It takes time. It could take weeks to get the snap program back going.
Sure, but you don't think we had a month? Like we have what, like $5 to $6 billion in.
By the way, I just want to say most Democrats are fine. Okay. I know that people keep on saying, "Oh, well, the Democrats are feckless." Blah blah blah. Blah. It's Fetterman and like 4 others, right? It's Fetterman and like 7 to 4 others, right? It's the Democrats who consistently vote with the Republicans or do the flipping, right? But most Democrats are fine, right? Schumer wanted to keep the shutdown going. He actually wanted to keep the shutdown going. That's respectful. Okay, whatever, right? Good for you, I guess.
Contingency funds.
That's
know,
2
whatever.
weeks. They said that's 2 weeks. Like Hutch
Right.
said.
So then
it
you
costs
grant
$8
that there's
billion a
more
month.
runway. You grant that there's 2
No,
more weeks of runway.
but that's already ran out in November. So that 4.5 billion.
However, again, I do have to stress if your party does decide to change something due to the fact of like a minority in your party, unfortunately, I will have to say that represents your entire party. That represents your entire party, okay? Because people will not know who the specific names are. People will not know who Fetterman is for people who are not a part of Pennsylvania, right? Who are not Pennsylvanians. They don't know who these people are, generally speaking, right? So you can't expect people to know that. Instead, they will assign this blame to the entire Democratic Party. But you shouldn't engage them on that because always trying to be defensive about shit is bad. If you do go out there and talk to people, make sure you highlight how much of an epic failure Trump's administration is, right? As much as I hate the fact that the shutdown is going to end, most likely, as much as I loathe that fact, you do need to look forward. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I guess it still sucks, right?
Was for the first 2 weeks of November, or 2 weeks whenever it starts.
So then I don't actually understand why you're against the vote, IRA. I mean, like I hear you say that you're against it, but then you're like they had to do it now or Snap was going to run out. And so I'm not understanding what's the basis for you saying that you're against it.
I'm just steel manning their argument. I still think the fight was worth it for those ACA subsidies because it's going to affect all of our insurance premiums across America, even if we're not on through getting insurance through the ACA. But I'm trying to understand where those 8 senators are coming from instead of just saying that they folded like cheap suits and they're weak and they're pathetic. I'm trying to actually understand where they're coming from. Like, I don't think Tim Kaine is just some scrub. Like, this guy is a serious player in the Senate. And if he represents the state of Virginia, a state with a lot of federal workers. And I think like people are just discounting their reasoning for why they did because maybe they gave a bad speech or something.
That's fine. I can acknowledge they gave their, they have their reasons for doing so. However, at the same time, there's going to be way worse things down the line for federal employees. If Trump was already ready to harm federal employees, what promise do we have that that he's not gonna harm them down the road? We gave up our only source of leverage. We harm federal employees once, so then Trump will never get to harm federal employees ever again. Or we can stop harming federal employees right now, and Trump will have full leverage to harm federal employees forever. Right? As always, IRA with the smart take, yeah, but I disagree with him.
Something, but I think these guys
Whatever
have
he's wrong.
genuine concerns.
Schumer wasn't convinced if you take his official position. So if Schumer wasn't convinced, he should resign, shouldn't he? Since he wasn't able to keep his caucus in line as leader.
Schumer should resign because he's lost the confidence of the party. That's why he should resign. It's good for it's good for the party. Like, I feel like if he resigned, literally internally, the numbers would go up like 20 points immediately.
I will say about Schumer, it's kind of crazy to me that if it's true that Schumer was trying to convince the Democrats to vote no on ending the shutdown, that it would be kind of crazy to then see Democratic politicians openly disobeying Schumer. Openly disobeying Schumer. Okay? We're not talking about like Schumer has lost control of his own senators. He's lost control. They disobey him. They openly disobey him. That's the problem.
I agree.
Because it would look like, yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Oh no, I agree with that take fully. No, sorry, my bad. I'm jumping in.
No, go ahead,
It would
jump
be like
right
the
in.
Biden stepping down.
The fact that like Fetterman and all the rest of them don't obey Schumer is crazy. That's crazy. And they have no fear. It feels like they have no fear. 4, 5 people flipping for Schumer? What do you mean disobeying? That's wild. Okay. Because Schumer is like the leader, right? He's like the leader of the Democratic senators, right? Is Schumer the leader of the senators? Yes, yeah. He's the leader of the Senate Democrats.
Moment where everyone's like, "Holy shit, somebody new!" You remember that was the best week of our lives that last year, and I think we can recreate that.
Believe in him. I mean, that's it. I mean, I don't really think that this is any different from any other. I mean, frankly, if anything, him voting no on this, I feel like would be, like good, right? I mean, like, that's like more.
Not a dear leader. Yeah, but why? What's the point of? We need a person who is able to make everyone fall in line against Trump. That's what we need. Because whenever Trump wants something to be done, everybody follows Trump. Everybody is willing to follow his orders, his command, what he wants. The problem that I am seeing here is that we need someone who is able to rally Democrats together on a single action. They need to have a single brain. If Schumer cannot do it, then Schumer should give up his leadership position. Okay, I don't know how you would do that, but who knows? Sometimes you can't get everyone to fall in line. See the Republican senators voting against tariffs in the Senate. No, yeah. You can't get everyone to fall in line, but I don't know. I guess we'll see, okay? Is it, like, how normal is it for Schumer to get everyone to fall in line? Does anyone know? Does anyone know, like, how easy it is for Schumer to get everyone falling in line, like Schumer's track record versus Nancy Pelosi's? But to be fair, okay, to be very fair, Nancy Pelosi, okay, had to be the leader in a different time. She had to be the leader during a different time as versus Trump, right?
Of what we want to see from
It's not the same
leadership if you're of the mind that we want a leadership with some more fight in him. But I think he needs to go because exactly what Hutch said. He's lost the confidence.
So all right, what's your holdout? Why are you? What would it take for you to say Schumer needs to step down? Him coming out and saying that he wants to step down? Like what is the thing that
the thing that gives me pause?
We won the election, showed people, American people, how weak Republicans are, made everyone speak on healthcare. No, I don't like the way you said made everyone speak on healthcare. The only thing that we made the Republicans promise to do is to hold a vote. Not the promise to not cut healthcare, to hold a vote. That's not the same. How could you say that? How could you say talk on healthcare? That means nothing to me. Talking on healthcare means nothing. Why would you say that?
Is who's going to replace him?
Chris
Cory
Murphy.
Booker?
There's so
Van
many.
Holland.
Chris Murphy's not going to replace him. Come on.
He can. He should. He would do better. And so would Van Holland.
You don't
He's
think
not in a high leadership position though. Like the
I
order is.
don't give a shit about seniority, and you shouldn't either.
Because but there's a reason why these people are in leadership positions, because they have the confidence of the caucus and they know what they're doing in the leadership position. So if you think Chuck Schumer's bad, wait.
I don't know why you said when whatever. The election was a bare minimum. It's not the end goal. The election was a bare minimum that we needed, okay, in order to keep the momentum going. We don't cut the momentum right now and just start and just no longer have any more power. That's ridiculous.
You see the next guy.
Obviously,
That'll be a million
right?
times worse.
Guy, you don't. Oh, go ahead, Ron.
Dismiss that because the Republicans started down this train in the 90s, actually, whenever they started throwing out their leadership because they wanted more aggressive opposition. And they basically haven't stopped for 30 years. Like every once in a while, they will get a new group of people who comes in and demands, more aggressive opposition. They'll throw out an old leader. It started with like Newt Gingrich.
No, it's not. Election is the main goal. Politics equals winning elections. No, you're wrong. You're right and you're wrong. Okay? Winning elections is the main goal. Winning the presidential election is the ultimate goal. Okay? How long did you want the shutdown to last? Forever. I want the shutdown to last forever up until the point where healthcare shit will not be cut. That's what I want. Okay? I want the shutdown to last as long as the Republicans do not cave. Okay?
And then he himself got thrown out. And then, we just kind of kept going on this for like 30 years. So I definitely don't want Democrats to spiral down that way. So it's not an unreasonable concern, just to IRI's point. I do think that Schumer in this case does need to step down, though. I think it's that bad.
He is.
And then lose everything during midterms. Got it? Well, I don't know. Okay. Hopefully enough Republicans die by that time from lack of food benefits. Okay. So then we can win the election. Okay. Good luck.
Causing he is
Inshallah.
whatever you think about his leadership, that's not really a factor in the calculation whatsoever. But him being in that role is divisive right now. It is dividing the party. There's a lot of animosity. To a lesser extent, there's animosity to Jeffries, but it seems like the bulk of the animosity is being directed at Schumer. I think he just represents what in many people's minds are the
nice memes. You think I'm joking?
The gerontocracy. He represents a kind of old guard that a lot of Democratic voters want to get rid of after being burned by Biden. Frankly, they were burned by Biden. And I think it's just the right thing to do because it's a selfless act, just the same as, like, I didn't have any doubts that Biden could have served another term and been a good president and done fine. I didn't have the same, like when he had the bad night on the debate stage, I wasn't thinking like, oh my God, he can't be president. I was thinking, oh my God, he might have just lost the confidence of the entire party. And I think we're just well beyond that point with Schumer. And I think that he needs to, he should do the right thing and be selfless in this moment.
Ira, you wanted to jump in here. What were you saying?
Well, I was going to say, how many Democrats even know who Schumer is? I feel like it's a much smaller number than you think.
Yeah. People don't know who Schumer actually is.
Most people have no clue who these people are. They don't know who Hakeem Jeffries is. Nothing. So when you say that he's dividing our party, I feel like he's dividing a segment of the internet.
No, look at his approval ratings. He's got the worst approval. He's got like 23% approval ratings. I mean, it's really fucking bad.
I'd love to see how many people on those polls say who.
But you don't actually think
you don't Chuck Schumer.
Oh my God, dude! What would it take? What would it take? Would it have to be 2% approval?
Let me just say. Hold.
You're not a serious person if you think winning every election was bare minimum, bro. The Republicans have been poisoning the double standards so much at this point that winning elections is no longer the biggest victory you can settle against the Republicans. Being able to reset the double standards is the ultimate victory. We're not talking about whether or not we can win elections or not win elections. We're talking about fixing the double standards. I've said this time and time again as well, right? I've said that I would rather lose the midterms and fix the double standards poisoning that is happening in this country than it is to perpetrate the double standards poisoning and win the midterms. And I'm still willing to stand on that. why do I believe in that? Is because there are things that are beyond voting. Voting is the bare minimum. Everyone should vote. It is your civic duty to go and vote. You have a moral responsibility living in a democratic country to go and vote. However, like how voting is the bare minimum, so is the rhetoric and the way that you present yourself in the media.
Hold on. You don't act.
Was the electoral implication of making Republicans vote to end healthcare? Of making Republicans vote to end healthcare? What do you mean by that? I have no idea what you're referring to.
Actually think that he's the only one that could be Senate leader, right? Like, that's very
No,
Trumpy.
of course
That's
not.
very Trumpy.
Double standard you're talking about in media spaces. IRL doesn't exist. Okay, all right. I don't know.
plenty- I just
People-
think-
there's plenty of people that can step up and fill
Forget
his
about it. Let's just agree, disagree.
shoes and be a good leader.
If he dies, we
They mean the upcoming vote in December? Yeah, but so we got promised a vote in December, a promise that we don't even know whether or not the Republicans are going to keep. This is not a win. Okay? If that's what you're referring to, that's not a win. This is why I was confused, because you're so matter of fact about this that it's such a great win that I became confused, because there's no way you're suggesting something crazy as crazy as that to be something that is worth celebrating. You're talking about securing a possibility that they might give us a vote in which we may lose. What in the world? What are you talking about? Have you lost your goddamn mind? Have you lost your mind? You're talking about a scenario where we are able to secure a vote that we may or may not have, in which we win the vote, where we may or may not win the vote. What? That's just fantastic. That's great. Okay, good memes. That's the real memes, okay?
just have to dissolve the Democratic Party.
Yeah, we're done.
We
We're
can't go on.
True. No.
Wait, last thing to throw on the fire, guys. Do you think he voted for Mamdani? He wouldn't tell us.
Fuck no. He voted for Cuomo. Oh, come on. This is so obvious.
The Senate vote is 100% happening, but didn't someone say Mike Johnson? Wait, I think it was Stumbling that said Mike Johnson said, like, we may not even hold a vote in the House. Doesn't that give me a point in that direction?
Yes. You guys, listen, I respect Schumer for what they were able to accomplish under different Democratic presidents. I respect Pelosi. She's retiring for their accomplishments under Biden. I'm not doing this from an ideological perspective. He's too old. He's too out of touch. He can't do the job anymore.
Some of us 100% fuck them, because I think the Dems just want Republicans to vote in public on it, because it would fuck them on midterms. No, I don't think I agree with you. I don't think I agree with you. You say that, can you promise me? Can you promise me that it would fuck them for the midterms? How can you promise that? How can you promise that you'll secure the rhetoric on that? You can't. You can't secure the rhetoric on that. That's the issue that I have with your reasoning. Because you're telling me that we are kicking the can down the road in the immediate future. We caused all this suffering so that we can explain to voters that we are able to secure a possibility to give funding back to the ACA. How do you explain that to the voters who are dumbasses? To secure a possibility, to secure a very slim promise? You're gonna argue that? Really? You're gonna explain that to voters? To the moderates? Is that who you're gonna be explaining it to? The people who think that Trump is so epic and based for doing things in general, and not for whether or not it's not like, I hate it when people, I really hate it when people theory craft, okay? no matter if it comes to Valorant theory crafting or it comes to Apex Legends theory crafting, but especially when it comes to politics, okay? Because just like how if you theory craft when it comes to FPS games and nobody knows, like even esports players know that theory crafting, even professional esports players know that theory crafting is a waste of time, and you should secure what you could right now when you have the chance to. How is it that not even you guys could understand what I'm talking about? If you disagree with me, okay, just jump into the weight room, okay? I don't get why people are scared, but hey, you know,
Whatever
just come in here, talk to me, okay?
he did,
Logical perspective.
the fact that we're not going to get the ACA subsidies.
Ryan,
Oh wait, Ryan is trying to say.
Ryan, you-
Theorycraft. Yeah, theorycraft is whenever you go like, okay, when we do A, then we can do B, and then because B has other benefits, we can do C, we can do D, right? Basically trying to predict the future, right? In such a way where you feel confident in the thing that you're doing. Does that make sense? You're not just picking a future strategy, you're picking a future strategy in which you feel self-assured in the way that it's going to go down, right? But there's so many what ifs in that equation that you're hinging on to be successful, to the point where you might as well just do nothing, right? Because you're hinging on the possibility of a possibility instead of working on what you have right now, which is way more solid, has way more foundations, have way more ways of dealing with things. It just makes no sense for you to be trying to give future foresight when you can work with what you have right now. Okay? You said hundreds of things, but didn't say once what your ideal concession you imagine Democrats could extract from the shutdown. Oh, easy. Don't fucking cut the ACA. Don't cut the ACA. It's really simple, isn't it? Hold on. When was the ACA cut? When did ACA cuts start? In Trump 2025. Yeah, the one beautiful bill. The one big beautiful bill. Yes. The one big beautiful bill. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so since then, okay? Fuck that shit.
Go.
Are you
My
kidding
bad,
me?
I didn't hear him.
No, you're good. It cut out. Go ahead, IRI, then Ryan.
Oh, I was going to say, no matter what you think of Schumer right now,
Dems probably saw a very real threat of voters turning on them if the shutdown ran too long. Can you just like jump in here? Can you just jump in here? Okay, I can't argue like you from chat like this. Like you're just spamming my chat.